Hey friends, have you heard of the telepathy tapes? I had a mom introduce this to me this past week, on Friday actually, and then I binged season one all weekend. I couldn't stop and I was obsessed. Now, I'm also an occupational therapist who has worked with kiddos for 25 years. The majority of the kids I've worked with have autism. So I have autistic kiddos around me often. And I've always felt like, for some reason, I had connected really well with them. Whether it's the energy, it's the fact that a lot of times they need the sensory input that I have in my toolbox as an OT. But I've connected really well with most of the kiddos. And every once in a while, you get the kids that are a little bit more challenging. However, after listening to these tapes, the podcast really, but after listening to it, I really started thinking, I wonder if I could be at least more intentional about not speaking and listening more, or using my mind more, or my heart, my energy. Just see what would happen with my kiddos that are non-speakers. And I had one there was one in particular that I've been working with this year that I just was like, I need to connect with this kid better. Now, we had been making a little bit of progress recently, but it's been, since like August. And okay, so I set an intention this morning while I was doing my meditation, and I really was like trying to go deep, and I was like, okay, all right, let's see if I set that intention of not speaking as much, listening more, or being aware more, observant, whatever, all of the nonverbal communication, and see what happens in that space if I allow there to be more space without my talking. And this kiddo got off the bus today, took my hand, looked up at me like he knew something was different. So now here's the thing. I don't know. It appears very true. If you listen to these tapes, it appears very true. What I was willing to do was also have conversations in my head, because let's say he can hear me and understand me, right? Maybe he's open to that. So I'm having a conversation with him in my head about, I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to us go to play in the room, and the sun was shining. Now, in the past, and I mean in the recent past, this kiddo didn't really want me to hold his hand. He was actively trying to elope from me, and he calmly held my hand. We walked through the school and onto the schoolyard. The sun is shining. He stopped halfway through the yard. He's never done this. He stopped halfway through the yard, looked up at me, shifted his body, and reached up for me to pick him up. He's never, all year long, this kid would not let me hold him at all. Not even close. And I was like, all right, kiddo. So I put him on my hip and we're walking, and he's just happy as a lark. And I'm like, okay, I see you. We get into the room and I'm still I'm not going to talk. Now, I'm a talker. I like to talk, but I also like to listen and be patient and quiet. And I can do both, right? So he was doing his stuff in the room, and he's getting all the input that he needed. And it was great. It was a great therapy session. And he kind of has an internal clock about knowing when it's almost time to go, because he also doesn't want to hear the alarm that goes off on my phone. And it's not even that loud of an alarm, but it's really just to notify us, get us over to the thing. So I went, and so he goes over 5 minutes before we were done. And I'm like, oh, so this is the first time I've actually spoke to him. I'm because he's already got his fingers in his ears. I'm like, okay, kiddo. I show him my phone. I literally turn off the alarm. I'm like, you have safe ears. You got 5 minutes more to play. Let's go back one of the swings. So we're on one of the swings, and he just leaned into me and was just a whole different child. And I was so happy. I don't know if there's anything to this. I hope there is. I hope that God, maybe he can read. Read my mind. I don't know. Maybe he's taking on the telepathy. where I still have blocks, I guess, that's what I'm going to call it, is I'm open to the idea, but I don't know if my receiver is quite working yet. So, again, I don't know if it will, but I think it's very fascinating. These tapes talk a lot about moms and therapists and teachers that are able to communicate with their kiddos with telepathy. And it's fascinating stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to get on here and share. One, just go listen to it, regardless of what you think, because there's a lot of information on there that is just going to be helpful in the world that we live in currently. And I think it's important that we look at all people and see how there's not just one way to communicate. All right, I chatted on way longer about this than I thought I was going to, but sometimes a story just needs to be told. So thank you to all the kiddos out there that I've worked with through the years who have allowed me to be a part of their world and who have allowed me to share a few of my tools with them along the way, whether or not they could speak but feel the energy. All right. Bye for now.